yeah, that put us on a path. A little scary to lose that much of your sales that you built up.
You have gone through some ups and downs and some moving from socks and the manufacturing going overseas to changing to a different product and different apparel. And you've obviously experienced maybe not this situation before, but similar.
Yeah, our brand's pretty firmly entrenched now in Canada and a lot more places where we had it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Cracking the Success Vault. Today we are joined by Paul Harbour.
I'm the director of Berne Canada.
Director of Berne Canada.
Sales and marketing.
Which is fantastic. The gear is amazing. I know you gave it to us at our golf tournament last year when we raised money for hospice there, which was fantastic. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And we're going to talk a little bit about Berne and the stuff you guys have going on. But let's start a little bit kind of with who Paul is and where Paul grew up and how Paul became who Paul is today. So I know you mentioned you were born in Quebec,
Montreal. Yeah.
And then you spent some time south of the border until your teen years.
My dad got transferred to New York City to work, so we were raised teenage, late 10 to 16. We came back to Canada in 17. We lived in Stamford, Connecticut, about 40 minutes outside of New York City. Yeah.
Cool. And then what brought your dad down to Connecticut, and then what brought you guys back?
Sure. Great question. So my dad was in the cosmetic business. So people like Fabergé, Revlon, and he got a chance to run a U.S. company called Helena Rubinstein was the name of it. More of a perfume manufacturer, but they did all the major department stores and got a chance to move to the U.S. and run that company. So
Neat.
It was a really cool ride. Yeah. We probably would have stayed there. Acquisition, the Gillette company bought that company, kind of dismantled the management and took us on another path. My dad was then transferred to working in the Boston area for Wonder Bra, which was one of their brands. They have the Gillette shavers, they have Wonder Bra.
Yeah.
They did all kinds of both personal care products plus intimate apparel and stuff like that. So he was transferred there, which led us kind of back to Canada because at the time, in the late 80s and early 90s, the manufacturing was done in Montreal. Montreal was a hub for clothing, socks, pantyhose, tights, stuff like that. So that kind of was his cue to start his kind of own entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah.
So back to Canada we came, and he took a job with one of the largest sock mills and manufacturers in Canada, and was their president for 14 or 15. Don't hold me to it. 14 or 15 years, and that was my introduction to the work industry.
Yeah. And so obviously it's safe to say then that you grew up, your dad being, managing, running a company, you're seeing the day-to-day operations, you're seeing all that kind of stuff. Is that some of the things that then led you into wanting to do something similar yourself?
I'm laughing because my wife and I were talking around the weekend that, probably would have been retired by now. I wanted to be a gym teacher, to be honest.
Okay.
And my family kind of freaked out because they're like, there's no real money in that. And in the 90s, they weren't hiring teachers, right? You couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
You do like, fill-in or part-time for 2 years. So they're like, no, you're going to take business courses on the side. But I had seen that, obviously, that side of my dad and knew what that life was like.
Right.
I worked actively from 14 on in the sock mill, like rolling big bins of 200 pounds worth of socks that had to go into a dyer, then to be bleached white, and then to pressing and stuff like that. So I was well aware of that type of manufacturing background inside of it.
Okay. And then so how did the transition then from wanting to be a gym teacher, taking business courses, transition into Berne? I mean, obviously you didn't go straight from that to Berne.
No.
You said you've taken over Berne since 2019.
2019 was when I got the job to bring the brand to this country.
Okay. And so what did you do just before that then?
Well, I was in the sock business for a long time, in the family business. Okay. Yeah. kind of carved out a niche, and maybe what kind of led me, at least to knowing about companies like Berne, is as we grew as a sock company, my role and my part in that business was I would actively sign licenses. So I would go to companies like And One, Fubu, Kodiak, Dickies, and we would sign a license to be their sock distributors, either in Canada or south of the border in the U.S., because we were doing business in both countries. After '84 and the Free Trade Act came in, you know, manufacturing in Canada was
taken off.
It was always there, but I think it was our golden age. We were really, really doing well, you know, and then everything changed.
Yeah.
It all changed. So yeah, I had some cool early days, and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and you know, family, she joined the business as well, and had her role, and she looked after mass merchandisers and dollar store chains. So she was able to watch a buck or two Canada go from 5 stores to 200, and Dollarama go from 13 to 1,000. So you know, she was in her area of it, and I was in mine, and it was a nice stable career, and pretty cool, pretty boring socks, right?
Sure.
But nobody hates them.
Nobody hates them. We all need them. We all like them. And so what then spurred the decision to go from family business, you got your role, she's got her role, to let's go be, you know, the Canadian distributor for Berne?
Well, we're not even there yet.
Okay.
But what got us out of the sock business? Chinese imports. Yeah. Very serious, and thing that my wife and I just did not want to wrap our heads around was that you can now import into this country socks much cheaper than what we can manufacture them here in Canada.
Right.
So, and it wasn't just my industry. Clothing, women's apparel, outerwear, everyone struggled to compete with labor at 10 cents on the dollar to what we were paying, right? Technology was technology. The world price of cotton is no different in China to the United States to Canada, but it was the pure labor and the actual costs of bringing that product to market.
Right.
So it changed, and you know, my hometown Montreal, there used to be thousands and thousands of warehouses with manufacturing. Those are lofts now and warehouses, and that it's just a commodity that evolved, right, and changed, and maybe for the better. I'm not so sure. You know, I took pride in the stuff we made in Canada, and our customers liked it too, but it's just reality of the economic environment. So that changed everything. So I was kind of lucky in the fact that some of the licenses I signed, Bauer, people like that we were doing, you know, their skate socks for them, or CCM, and that they wanted to get into clothing, and they weren't in clothing at those times.
And when was this?
That would have been late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we started doing some clothing for them and the socks, and then manufacturing for socks really kind of took a hit 2004, 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, we had to kind of reinvent ourselves, and my wife did, and I did, and got into the clothing business.
Okay.
And there was still manufacturing being done specifically in Scarborough. I had some friends that did the original Lululemon line, you know. Again, it's an import line now too.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, and my wife's going to laugh when she watches this. I don't wear Lululemon. I'm mad at them.
Yeah.
Right? The original Lululemon legging was made in Scarborough, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And for the sake of hope I don't get myself legally, and for cost-effective reasons,
Sure.
they moved manufacturing.
Yeah.
But that's too bad, you know, because I think this country produces some nice stuff.
Yep.
And so I started doing some clothing for Easton Canada, Bauer Canada, CCM, and working with producers in Scarborough.
Okay.
Dye houses in Hamilton, we started making clothing for the hockey business, baseball business, and stuff like that. And I was in that for quite a while. It led me to a company that was doing workwear, and we had started to do some fleece and stuff for Mark's Work Warehouse. And I was involved in the sales side of that, met this company, got a great offer, and we were doing safety wear when high vis and safety wear wasn't cool. We were one of the first companies to do it. And that led me to Berne.
Okay.
Because they were looking to break into Canada, and they looked at acquiring the company that I was running at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. The economic marriage couldn't work, but the sales force and the people in that were acquired by Berne.
Right.
So, and then that company was eventually sold.
Right.
So happy ending for everyone. But
Yeah.
I first got a taste getting down to Berne's head office and just seeing their product line, right? With not knowing much about it, hearing about it, but not knowing much about it. And I was like, told my wife, I'm calling her, I'm like, this stuff is unbelievable. Like, we've got a real opportunity, a life-changing opportunity to bring this brand to Canada. So
Right.
2019, we got the job, and then COVID hit.
And then COVID hit. Yeah.
That made things difficult, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that then. So from a branding perspective, from a marketing perspective, from opening doors perspective,
Yep.
I mean, you're bringing this brand from south of the border into Canada.
Yep.
At a time when you're not even really supposed to be, like, walking around malls and interacting with people. So that must have been a pretty difficult first couple of years, not being able to just fly around the country, meet with different companies, meet with different executives, show them the products. So how did you guys manage to continue to grow it
Sure.
in those first couple of years?
There was very little brand recognition, even though we're a 150-year-old company. So the company is Swiss, right? Like Helly Hansen is Norway, Berne was Switzerland.
Okay.
Started in the late 1800s.
Which is interesting because I recognize Helly Hansen, but Berne, until you and I met, I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, we're not near the size of them. Just to put it in perspective, Carhartt is number one, Dickies is number two. We are now a solid number three, but it's still a distance. But I would say that we are growing at a faster rate than those two companies I just met. Yep. And, they had been in Canada for 40 or 50 years. Right. We're on year 6, right? Right. So it's a different chronological kind of development, right. But it's got some history to it. COVID hit. So you're calling, being in the business, at least I knew how to get a hold of these people during COVID because no one's at the office. It was a lot of Pure Later samples. I'm not shouting out Pure Later. They were the closest to my house, and 15 boxes going out on a Monday, let them see, touch, feel the samples. Yeah. We had our infancy to the Zoom meetings and Teams meetings meeting virtual rather than in person. It was a challenge. We had some retailers that were deemed essential. So I think that was, that they were allowed to stay open with a certain number of clients, especially in rural areas. So we were lucky in that aspect because they had bought into the program. Okay. And that kind of fueled our development during that time. Right. So, but no, it wasn't an easy 2-year period to grow a brand that in this country was still getting to be known. Yeah.
And okay, so you're doing initial Zooms, you're sending out product instead of taking it with you, which obviously probably had a cost to it. Not everything probably comes back all the time or whatever,
There's a lot of lost in translation.
A lot of lost in transit. And then you and I have spoken a little bit because you guys went from COVID, out of COVID, couple good years. And then obviously with the most recent incoming president in the United States, and you had one of the distributors closed down here in Canada.
Yeah. Retailer.
One of our larger retailers. Largest retailers. And what's sort of that like when you have one big retailer that you guys supply for?
Yeah, it's our third largest customer in Canada. Most people wouldn't know who our largest customers in Canada because it's more on the industrial side, laundering of coveralls, workwear apparel, stuff like that. But our largest retailer, PV Mart Canada, suffered a bankruptcy in January, almost a year ago. And that put us on a path. A little scary to lose that much of your sales that you built up. But I got to tell you, the first kind of thing we did was we sat down and mapped out a plan. What are we going to do? We know now that it's going to be ugly, right? But what are we going to do? And rather than do nothing, we went to our existing retail partners and industrial partners and distributors and said, there's a void in the market, because they're a national company. They're in every province except Quebec. They're in Atlantic Canada all the way to BC. And we said, transparency here, we could use your help. And I got to tell you, they stepped up. They expanded their sections. They carried a few more styles. But having said that, and with reflection, we knew that PV customer was going to need to find our product somewhere, right? So, but they seized the opportunity, and we also launched with some new key retailers in Canada, some big players who are now carrying our product. And I use the phrase, we had one door closed, but we had like 3 garages open. So it's been an interesting, exhausting, challenging year. But our brand's pretty firmly entrenched now in Canada and a lot more places where we had it. PV had 94 doors, I believe, and another 30 under their Ace banner. So call it 120. The Ace banner has been replaced with BMR. So we're still in those stores, but I think as of the 5th of December, when we were reviewing a week ago, 168 new doors. So lost 90, picked up 168.
Right.
That's
and I think that's probably a testament not just to yourself, probably to your team, the strategy that you guys went with.
Yeah.
And I would also probably say the experience that you've had in the clothing industry, because you have gone through some ups and downs and some moving from socks and the manufacturing going overseas to changing to a different product and different apparel. And you've obviously experienced maybe not this situation before, but similar.
Yeah. I would say that I've probably seen that situation a couple of times where we've had a big retailer, Simpsons, Sears, Woolco. I could name the ones that when I first started my career are no longer here. Big chains that you didn't think would be gone, especially Sears Canada. But the evolution of retail. But I think this one was more challenging because we were still building the brand, right? And at a key kind of cornerstone, is it going to explode? Is it not? And to have that setback was challenging.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those. I mean, there's that saying that setbacks are just setups for comebacks, right? And you really have to look at it from a strategic place and say, okay, like we either have to go all in, or maybe the brand's not going to be around anymore, right? Was it something that you got your team together with and just said, okay, listen, everybody has to be hands on? Like, how did you guys as an organization, being the director of operations here in Canada, how did you manage the other people in other provinces too?
Yeah, so our sales guys across the country, obviously we made them aware. Well, the news was public. Everyone knew. My phone was blown up. We said to them, all hands on, like this has got to be a year where you've got to go. And we literally had a map of Canada with where there was a PV location. And if we had a customer in that area existing, talk to them. If we didn't, who's in that town? Who's in that province? Who's in that region? And we strategically went from door to door to door across this country. And my air miles are a testament to it this year.
You just told me that you just told me a few minutes ago that literally like last week you were in 3 different time zones within 30 hours.
31 and a half hours.
A flight from one side of the country back to the other side and just constantly going.
Yeah, it was an incredible week last week, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so what do you think then? And I've worn some of the Berne stuff that you gave me, the hats that you gave me at the golf tournament, fantastic. The stuff you brought to our golf tournament was awesome. What do you think separates the Berne gear from other things?
It's a great question. And I'm glad to tell you the answer to it because I'm so passionate about this brand. And circling back to when I first saw this stuff, before I took the job, our quality, and south of the border and in Europe in chains where they do tests, for the different brands, we will win on a durability test, on a shrink test, our warranty on all our zippers, snaps. We stand behind our product. It's been made since 1915 in North America, but 1858, I think, in Switzerland. Okay. So we know how to make clothing, and we make it only one way, and that's the right way. Okay. So I think our durability, our story of how it's going to last. I use the analogy, our customers, contractors, electricians, city workers, whatever, they're up at 5, all right? and especially the independent guys or guys managing a company, they have a lot on their mind that day. The last thing I want them to worry about is if they're going to be warm, comfortable, and protected from the elements. That's what our company does for them, because they might not get home till 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
So that, I think, is what we provide. And then kind of our pricing structure is we try and offer the most value for that quality. So we're not quite in the Carhartt price range. We tend to be 20 to 25% less. Full warranty, same trims, we were questioned about, using different zippers and stuff like that. And our CEO has said, we've used the same YKK zipper for over 100 years.
Right.
We're not changing it. Like, that stays. And I get it. It's the most expensive zipper on the market, but it's also the most durable, right?
Right.
And we don't want problems with our products. We want them to last. That's why we offer a 1-year warranty on everything.
Yeah. A 1-year warranty on everything.
Anything snaps related, zippers, stress points. Yeah.
name
We
it.
offer a full warranty on our stuff. We don't get a lot back, but we stand behind it. A lot of times we'll want to see it back. We want to always make sure that there's not something that we could be doing better. So we'll ask for pictures usually, and then say, if you don't mind, here's a return envelope. Send it back for testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so would you say then that kind of trying to connect sort of your younger years with your dad being in the business to now, were there some lessons that your dad taught you or that you saw your dad, handle or do
Yeah.
that have helped you in this last 6 years of growing this brand?
Without a doubt, his working class, my dad came from a very poor part of Montreal. His work ethic, without a doubt, and I think he instilled that in myself, my brothers. One of the things he would say sometimes, or I think glean, make sure we remembered it. If you don't take care of your customer, someone else will, right? So
100%.
I think his service level was one of his strengths was how he looked after his customers, knew his customers, right? Tried to always plan for if there could be an issue, have we got them covered and stuff like that. And I try and use that same philosophy
Right.
in the work that I do. Yeah. Yeah. My smallest customer, my biggest customer is equally important to me.
Right.
Because that could switch.
Yeah. Jason and I say the exact same thing on the financial side, right? Is I don't care if a person invests, $25 a month with me or $25,000 a month with me. It doesn't matter, right? Like your money, I have to treat your money as if it's my money, right? And that's the same thing, is you have to treat your customers as if they're your only customer. Yeah. Because if somebody goes bankrupt, you never know. They might be your only customer for a while, right? Until you can grow the market, right? So, yeah, I think that's a fantastic lesson. I mean, the work ethic thing is hard. I mean, if you're going to be self-employed, you're going to run a company, you're going to be, the distributor of a country, work ethic's going to have to be there.
It's there. It's there for sure. Yeah.
So what kind of...
And the passion makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a great brand.
And so I was going to say, where do you get that passion from in the clothing? I mean, you've obviously been in the clothing industry for quite some time, right? Where does that passion come from?
I think Berne is more than just a jacket or more than just a bib. Our mission statement is kind of like, we'll add value to your life, right? And kind of embrace that. I was looking for it, and the people that I work with, the management side of Berne, are fifth generation owners, right? So
okay.
Yeah, they have owned this country for more than this company for more than a century,
right?
And that in itself, says the commitment they have to our craft. So I have no choice but to kind of make that work.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk, let's change a little bit then. So let's talk a little bit as a business owner, and who has someone who has, you saw your dad grow up in the business, you were in the corporate world with him in the family business and all that stuff for a while, now doing your own thing. Has there ever been like a regret that you have? There ever been something that you were like, man, I wish I hadn't made that decision and maybe I could have made a different decision? You ever had one of those, like, I wish I could have go back and tell my younger self not to do that thing and maybe slow down or maybe do something else?
Yeah. I think there's always got to be a balance between your work life and what you do, personally.
Yeah.
That play hard kind of work hard thing. I don't know that really works anymore.
The work hard, play hard.
Play smart,
Yeah.
and be attentive to your family. Make sure you don't miss the stuff that's going on in life. Yeah. And I can tell you, Berne's very family oriented. So if there's something family wise, they'll cancel or move things around because you might not get that moment back. You can always reschedule a meeting, right? So
yeah, I can feel that because my son is seven months old as of tomorrow, and it's hard. I love what I do. I love what I do for work. I love meeting people. I love having conversations like this, and sometimes you can just kind of get lost in all of it, and just I really have to take time to be like, okay, like I think I just need to go home early today and just spend some time with the little guy and my wife and just relax.
Yep, mine are older. You're gonna blink, buddy. They'll be asking you for the keys and some money.
Everybody keeps telling me that it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, I've got some friends with like teenagers, and they're like, "Man, I wish I could go back to when they were 6 months because the teenager years are just a different thing in themselves."
Yeah.
So okay, and so what's next for yourself? What's next for Berne? What's next for the brand you're growing here in Canada?
Okay. So as I said, one door closed, garage is open. So we have expanded in a big way with some really cool retailers across Canada, also with an imprint distributor nationally. So I think our brand is firmly going to expand after we thought it might be a pause year. Yeah. And we've got some opportunities. Home Hardware has adopted us, Federated co-op stores that are in the West. We're in Mr. Safety Shoes, we're in Work Authority. Any place where a guy would go to get some quality workwear, we're striving to do business with them, and we're on test with Mark's Work Warehouse as well. So,
oh wow,
yeah, that would be
that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good. I think that the retailers are hearing people come in and say,
do you have any
Berne? Yeah, my husband likes this, or I'm looking for some ladies' bibs, and we do kids too. One of the few. I think work lines and kids that are still out there,
right?
And some fantastic hoodies and T-shirts. And we've added our accessories line.
Yeah,
There's 26 is going to be pretty cool, pretty amazing.
And where are you hoping to end? Have you guys sat down as an organization, or just you and your wife, and been like, by the end of 2026, this is where we'd like to be? Have you guys had like a little goals session? Is that something you guys do?
Yeah. Everyone's got a growth, is it 15%? Is it 20% a year? Are you somehow going to manage a 30% growth? I think we want to grow the business and make sure that we manage it so that our existing customers and our partners from the very beginning who gave us our chance, everyone's looked after, right? That we've got their product for them on time, styles that are developing for the way that people use workwear and assume what kind of workwear they need. One of the nicest thing I've been seeing in some of our development from our development team, product team, is that bulky is not necessarily warm anymore. You don't need to have 7-pound jacket on in -30. There's all types of fibers, and people want stretch and the ability to move, right? It's got to be durable, but that whole comfort, lightweight aspect, all type of climates, right? We're doing a lot of fabrics now that are both waterproof, windproof, puncture-proof, and still lightweight,
right? And
going to keep you warm, right? And going to last you. So that's where I think the technology is changing, but that is a difficult ask, to be extra durable and just as good as the stuff we made for 100 years. But now we're a little more lighter, a little more technical, a little more stretch to it, fit even better. So be interesting to see where the customer takes us on this journey.
And so who are most of your customers then? They're the construction workers, the plumbers, the contractors. That's kind of where you guys are targeted.
Yeah, any working guy, farmer, city workers, asphalt, concrete. We see all
outdoors.
Aspects. Yeah, people. It depending on what trade or what area they're in, we've got products for that weight, that durability, that climate. Yeah.
Interesting. And so in that growth capacity over the next year, is this something you guys are going to have to add on more staff for? more sales guys for? Is it something
Yeah, we
that
just
you have to look
yeah,
at?
great question. We've now got representation in every province, but we're going to divide Ontario into 3 territories to expand for 26 and 27. So yeah, it's just too big a province for one person to cover. So
Yeah.
we're going to go to 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see Alberta probably dividing and being 2.
North, south.
Yeah, like where the people live in this country. So we're probably going to have to align with that population.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And is Berne, do they typically come out with new lines, new clothing all the time?
Every year.
Every year, all the time.
Twice a year, yeah. We'll launch some new summer styles and new winter styles. With us being fully Canadian, like our operation is in Canada, employees are Canadian, warehouse is Canadian, distribution is Canadian. We've got a free hand as far as our development, so we're putting a lot more Canada A themes into our products, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, people love that.
Yeah.
100%. And so let's talk a little bit about then, in terms of the organization growing from a financial perspective. Is this something that you guys have to be very careful about how fast you expand? Like you guys, if you guys are distributing the brand to companies that are then selling it to the public, selling it to contractors, et cetera, you guys probably don't. Do you guys hold a ton of inventory? Is that something you guys have to be careful for?
We obviously forecast and plan, but soon as you submit a forecast, it's wrong, right? Because you never know where the customer is going to take you. I think being such a big company and with some history, the senior management's not afraid to put inventory in Canada.
Okay.
I tell you, the transparent, with the demise of PV, we had an option to move products back to Europe or into the United States. We held the course. We sent it and brought it all here with no home. So maybe that answers your question. Yeah. Yeah, I got a pretty good runway. As long as there's a plan and we can see where the development's going to come from, I've got no restriction about how much product to put in this country.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want a guy's shelf to be empty, right? We don't want someone not being able to get our product. So, and nothing I think is more, you miss that sale if you don't have any large left in your section, okay? You do not know how many people walked up, looked for large and left. So it's that missed opportunity. Yeah. So no, we're going to go a little bit heavier this year now that we've come through this. And, our ability to see when we need product, bring it in more on a month or quarterly basis rather than twice a year. There's steps in place and stuff we've done to align to handle this growth.
And so do you guys have locations around the country then that keep the gear? Is it one location that you ship out of? How does that work?
Right now, one.
Okay.
Based on where we're going for 2026, we want to shorten that delivery time. Okay. People need their stuff; they don't want to wait. So right now, our warehouse is in Kamloops, BC, but we're looking at something southwestern Ontario-ish. Okay. Depending with the rail system moving most of your product from east to west. Yeah. It would be somewhere close to a rail thing. So I don't know that it's Toronto area. Maybe it's London, Guelph. I'm not sure yet. They'll look for the opportune building. But I would see us having something here. It could be as far east as Montreal, right? I'm not saying where it's going to be exactly, but there will be an eastern presence for our distribution
to shorten the time.
Fall 26, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. That way, those stores that do have your gear, et cetera, they don't have to wait long time.
We want it to be ordered to store 48 hours.
Okay.
That's a
pretty short time.
That's
a good goal. Okay. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here. Okay. We typically end every podcast episode asking our guests the same question. So, Paul, the question is, what does success mean to you?
Wow. You didn't give me any.
I know. I didn't give you. We don't prep anybody for this one.
I think for me, look, everyone's got a financial kind of portfolio of what they want to do. I think success is when your customers or the people that you work with say what type of person you are and what type of service you provide, right? To me, the people around you who reflect or say, you know, that guy's good, or that guy's thorough, or he takes care of us. That to me is success, right? Yeah. When someone else sees your value.
Right.
You didn't give me any prep on this.
No.
That's my answer,
I
believe it.
I like that answer, though. I don't think anyone has said that kind of an answer before. Some people say money, some people say, you know, freedom, and some people, you know, everything's different. But I think who you are as a person and how you come across to the people that you spend a lot of time with, that's a fantastic answer. I like that answer.
I'm glad you like it. It's
a good
the
answer.
honest one, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Well, yeah, we're out of time. Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us a little bit about Berne, what you guys got going on, and how, as a business owner, you've managed, you know, over the last, 6 years doing your own thing, but you've had a business career of some ups and downs, sort of how you guys have managed some things, coming through some rocky times and some good times. So I appreciate you sharing all that wisdom with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, that's another episode of Cracking the Success Vault here with Spectre Financial. We'll see you guys next time. Again, as always, you can find us everywhere you guys stream your podcasts, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, and obviously check out our YouTube video. But that was Paul from Berne, Canada.